in the new dispensation, which I think is normal. And that is the only way you can truly begin to genuinely see a well-focused party moving to the next level. And
so
I don't
you think that the main APC, and when I say APC, I mean the party, the APC, needs to address those concerns of the NPDP?
Between you and I, it is already addressing it.
Okay.
It is already addressing it because the president, in his wisdom, has directed the VP to look into these perceived areas of differences.
You keep saying perceived. Does that mean you don't totally agree that there are areas?
You see, it is perceived by the NPDP.
Right.
The other parties might not see it that way.
Wait, okay.
Right? But all in all, of course, as a member of NPDP, I share the feelings and aspirations of the NPDP. But as it were, if this is coming on the heels of preparing to go into another dispensation, I think it is good that we sit and look at those areas, which the vice president genuinely agreed, and the president, that if there are issues, don't forget that the petition was sent to the party.
That's right.
The party, in its wisdom, contacted the presidency to look into these areas. And
yes,
the president...
because it said that the NPDP is a really powerful segment of the party. Governors are there are quite a number of senators,
of course,
House of Representatives. So this is not just another group within the APC. As you said, legacy parties that came. I mean, the departure of NPDP from the PDP to the APC, in some estimation, was the camel or the straw that broke the camel's back ahead of 2015. And the rumors, I'm happy you are trying to address that now, because rumors are that the NPDP is preparing to move again.
You see, a lot of misgivings will be coming in at different levels. Don't forget, there are people that are benefiting from crisis. Those who fuel the embers of discord benefit from this crisis. We've seen them at different levels, unfortunately. Rather than seeing a platform where we should consolidate and move on to the next level, they are busy blowing the embers of discord to ensure that this groove widens, and for whatever reason and purpose they have, they want to see how this thing does not work. But I want to assure you, well-meaning members of NPDP and of course the APC have come to recognize that differences resulting from marginalization should be addressed, and is currently being addressed. And I want to assure you that it's going to aid and forge a stronger way forward. This is not the time to begin to say the NPDP is not a serious party. You see, even if it's just one person, he deserves to be listened to. Forget about whether it's even a strong bloc coming into the party. Even as one person, his voice deserves to be listened to and addressed. Because, you see, it's a game of numbers.
Yes,
it's a game of addition, not subtraction. And to that extent, we want to address all differences and see how we can consolidate this into a working tool and drive a better, stronger new dispensation come 2019.
Now, on a general note, I mean, we've talked about the NPDP of which you have, but on a general note, there seem to be other reasons for discord, if you want to put it that way, within the APC. The congresses you mentioned, the party seemed to resolve the issue by saying that only the congresses at which its designated officials were represented would have its officials sworn in. But in many of the states, as you pointed out, there were other people who held congresses, quote and unquote. And that in itself was a manifestation of some level of discord within those states.
Sure.
Even the chairman of the APC Governors Forum had his own share of this in Imo State. And there were other states, in Kaduna and a number of other states, there were such issues. New executives have been sworn in on the basis of what I said earlier.
Yes.
But you've talked now about it's a game of addition, not subtraction.
Yes.
What do you think the APC should do under the new executive that is going to, or that is coming in, to resolve this so that the APC does not, in the words of some of its detractors, crumble?
Yes, you see, looking at the APC and its background, what happened and what is happening now will not be too far-fetched, because what has not happened before happened where a hurriedly packaged party came and won elections over and above a party that's been on ground the last 16 years.
And of which you were a member.
Of course I was a member.
And many of you in the APC
Exactly.
were members.
But you see, to that extent, we will see that consolidating into a working tool to drive further activities in politics and governance will require a lot more effort. The party did not enjoy the latitude of reconsolidating after elections. Some form of lull entered its activities, which ultimately culminated into what we saw in the congresses. But I'm happy that the party has since realized this and is taking steps to address these issues. Now, the areas of different congresses we have seen is currently being addressed by different areas, different zones. And I'm happy to see that it manifested when we had a meeting last night and the day before, in the way and manner a sense of congruence is being achieved in helping to ensure that we have a very successful convention. So to that extent, I think that most of the differences are currently being addressed. But the most important part of it is the kind of leadership we're expecting to emerge. God's willing, if we're able to get the convention through with the emergence of Comrade Oshomole, I'm very sure that he has a wealth of experience in managing crisis and managing people. And he will bring that to bear in ensuring that warring parties are brought together, differences are sorted out, and most importantly, a strong consolidated party is put in place that would assure Nigerians of a strong government to be put in place that will surely give us the kind of goods and services we expect to see.
As in 2019, will you be supporting the president for a second term?
Naturally, as a member of APC, I will support the president.
Who will you be supporting in Kwara to succeed you?
We will be supporting people that would emerge through inclusive selection process. Because you see, yes, because you see, in Kwara, what we have is a scenario where the Senate leader should pretend over an inclusive process that carries all and sundry along in selecting who vies for offices. And it is inclusive because it comes in from the bottom to the top. It's not a question of dictation on who gets what. Because Nigerians are a lot more, and indeed Kwarans, they are a lot more informed politically. And they are concerned about who represents them at different levels, be it at the councillorship level, be it at the state, national assemblies level, or at the governorship levels. So to that extent, the selection process, which is largely inclusive, is designed in such a manner that it protects those who don't have financial muscles, but have capacity to deliver goods and services. Because if you leave it open to those who have financial capacity alone, you may be mortgaging the future of Kwarans. That is why we have emerged with an inclusive process, largely superintended by the Senate leader, to ensure that emergence is inclusively arrived at and carries the interest of everybody. When this process comes into bear, you will see who will emerge. And it's going to be somebody that will be accepted at all levels. And between you and I, we are sure that we have enough quality people to fit into that arena.
Now, of course, I'm sure you're referring to the Senate president, even though as leader of the Senate. That's what you mean?
No, Senate, I mean the Senate president.
President. I just wanted to clarify that. Now, having said that about Kwara, now, let me take you up on one or two national issues.
Yes.
And your own view about them. The national budget has just been signed.
Yes.
You're a banker.
Yeah.
You work with figures. You're quite familiar with the economy. But we are more than halfway through the year, before the budget comes out. And this will have, of course, spill-on effect on a lot of things. The elections are coming, so as we know in Nigeria, governance will take a bit of a backseat while when campaigning really gets going. What do you make of the seeming non-cooperation between the executive arm of government and the legislature that sometimes makes this process very difficult? and lengthy. The president submitted the budget in November. What do you make of that?
You see, drawing from my experience as a governor in the last 7 years, we had also been faced with those challenges at one time or the other, where you had budgets delayed as a result of, examination and being passed into, as a bill by the state or National Assembly, as it were. We've since corrected that in the states. And what we did was, I found out that, look, what was the reasons why our budgets usually got delayed? There were two sides to this business of budgeting process. There's the executive side and there's the legislative side.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, we took it for granted that the executive was always going to do its job the way it should. And the legislative will do its own side.
As it should.
As it should. And more often than not, we tended to give the reasons for delay to the legislative. Yes. But in my experience, I found out that it was a two-way thing. That we needed to strengthen and articulate our budgeting process beyond being academic exercises. We needed to define clear areas where we wanted to carry on to the next budget as being looked at from a very critical perspective in terms of funding and ability to carry out these activities as laid out. Mm-hmm. And we fine-tuned by carrying the various committees of in the assembly in the formulation process. We carry them along in areas where we feel that their inputs will have impact in designing the budget. For instance, areas where they have constituency projects.